Moving forward to the Jets, got a couple guys for you that we have to consider, and quarterbacks in general. If you lost Lamar Jackson, if you're one of the guys impacted by like Justin Fields out in week 14, whatever it might be, you might need a quarterback. In the first position I am looking at, the first guy I'm looking at is Mike White, 18% rostered right now. I've always been a big Mike White guy, and he has not disappointed me quite yet. Now, it was a pretty ugly game, 2 interceptions, but he still racked up 369 yards on 57 pass attempts. And that is what I'm leaning on, folks. In fact, over the last 2 seasons in games without Zach Wilson, the Jets have led the NFL in both pass attempts, 47.6 per game, and passing yards, 325 per game. More than the Chiefs, more than the Bills, Chargers, but every single offense. Toss them out there. The Jets have had more attempts and more yards in any game started by anybody that's not named Zach Wilson. I really think their play caller, Mike LaFleur, is a really solid guy that is just terrified to take the training wheels off when Zach Wilson is. And who could blame him? You guys have seen the guy play. He is a bag of shit. So when he's got anybody with a mediocre arm, with a mediocre decision making, I shouldn't say mediocre arm. Zach Wilson obviously has the cannon. He just cannot figure out how to be an NFL quarterback. His decision making is pathetic. So when Mike LaFleur has a guy that can just execute those yak opportunities, this 49er style system, that's all he needs to just hurl it out to his guys. We've seen Garrett Wilson emerge as a legitimate wide receiver 1 these last few weeks. Down the stretch, a wide receiver 1, in my opinion, top 12 guy moving forward rest of the season. But Mike White himself should be good enough to be your viable starter, because not only is he throwing a ton, not only is he racking up these passing yards, look at the schedule in your fantasy playoffs. The second easiest behind only Aaron Rodgers. And honestly, I'd rather have Mike White in the way they're airing it out at this point. Week 15, Detroit, most points allowed to quarterbacks. Week 16, Jacksonville, 7th most points. And then you got Seattle, middle of the pack, 15th most points, but not a scary matchup. So really only Buffalo in week 14 this week, 26, but that's not impossible. And you know they're going to need to chuck because Buffalo will put up their points as well. So I am a big fan of Mike White, the first quarterback I am looking to. I'd spend about 20, 25% if I'm quarterback needy. I need that plug in this week. That is the first guy I look at. Now, if you're just looking for literally a 1-week stopgap, you might even find more upside in Tyler Huntley. He's 0% rostered, of course, right now. And he had a solid day this past weekend, filling in for Lamar Jackson, who suffered a PCL injury. Now, the only reason I wouldn't be higher on him than Mike White is because they're expecting Jackson to be only out about a week. Now, they have labeled it, though, a 1 to 3 week injury. So maybe it does linger. This is a team, though, that needs to be fighting for their playoff lives. I think as soon as Lamar Jackson is even close to ready, he's going to be thrust back in there. I expect we only get about 1 week from Tyler Huntley. But when he plays, you guys have seen it last year. He was very, very solid in fill-in duty last year, averaging over 200 yards through the air, over 60 yards on the ground. And in 2 of his 3 starts, he had top 10 fantasy days. In fact, he was the quarterback one of these weeks with over 40 fantasy points, 2 rushing touchdowns, passing touchdown. He was a beast, and he looked pretty solid in his first fill-in duty, 27 to 32, 187 yards, a pick, but it also that Konami upside yet again, 41 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Just to remind you again of what that start was last year. So he went 14, 15, and 17 were his 3 starts in a row, 24 fantasy points, 40 fantasy points, and then 13.25. A little bit of a dud there. But, man, 270 passing yards, touchdown with 45 yards, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground in addition to 215 and 2 through the air. That's the type of upside Tyler Huntley has. He gets the Steeler top 6 matchup this week. Their playoff schedule for quarterbacks is a joke, too. So if, for whatever reason, Lamar Jackson does get an extended absence here, you got Pittsburgh twice in these next 4 weeks. Ooh, baby, that could be juicy as hell for Tyler Huntley, and then Atlanta as well. Just great matchups all around for Tyler Huntley, a talent that we've seen rack up quarterback points. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.